Test, test, test. Okay, so I guess we're live. Hi, welcome to this Wednesday live stream. I thought we'd do something new today, and I just created a new YouTube account here and put some subscriptions of some Vim network and terminal guys here. And I thought we just go through some of those and watch them together, maybe. So let me tell me what you think about this. Okay, so let's look at the subscriptions here. And okay, need to make my face cam a little bit smaller. I don't know, top right or bottom right. Let's go to the top right here. Yeah, and I hope this is working actually. Let me check on my phone. Nobody's here anyway, so I guess. Oh, there it says 2 watching. Okay. So apparently there's someone here. Hi and welcome. Can I somehow see who's here? Participants? No. It says only myself. Okay. Anyway. Let me open this. Okay, I'm really not a professional streamer yet. Let me just open this for myself. And let's see if I can see the chat then. Okay. Now I see the chat. Okay, great. Hi, Chris. Cool that you're here. So, can you hear me fine? I hope so. I've never streamed some content in a live stream before. So, oh, that's great. So what do you think? Let's check out what to watch here. There's, okay. Sylvan Franklin is Wim Zan's son, apparently. It's just 1 minute long. Maybe take a look at this. Yeah, let's try. Let's see if the audio of this.
Yes, the rumors are true. Sylvan Franklin is my son. Now, you may have thought, this...
How about the audio of the video? Can you hear it? And is it too loud? Is it too low? Okay, great. Cool. Thanks for being my beta tester here. Yeah. So this maybe we'll learn something here. Okay, then maybe I'll turn it down a little bit. Let's see if this is better.
Christian fella on YouTube, him and Vimothy kind of look alike a little bit, don't they? They even have the same up upper teeth.
Oh.
You might say, well, I mean, Vimothy doesn't. He doesn't.
That was bad. Could you hear that? Okay. Is it okay from the audio levels now? Okay, great. Yeah, then maybe. Great. Cool. Then I'd say let's watch this 1 minute video to the end, and then I'm taking suggestions from you. I guess we're alone still, right? Yeah, we're alone. Cool. Like it's a one-on-one.
Doesn't have a British accent, doesn't he? Here is a short where he speaks with a perfect British accent.
You must try this. You simply must have my codfish.
Yeah, maybe
balls.
we'll get
That's right, son.
some of
I'm
those
proud of
tricks.
you. I don't know why
in
you've
the
been
other
doing
videos
this
here.
fake American accent. I guess it's from your mother. She's the American
guess
one.
not
He's
in
been
this
doing
one.
this American accent, this Vermont
But,
accent, pretending like that's his real, true voice.
Maybe
I'm proud
one
of
the
him that
next.
for a few seconds at least, he showed his true colors. Who do you think he learned them from? Duh. So what's the conclusion of this video?
This new upcoming
Go
Bim Zen
subscribe to
YouTuber
Bimothy.
is apparently the father of Sylvan Franklin. Cool. Good to know. Let's go back to the subscriptions here, and maybe we'll find something where we actually learn something. Oh, there's also a Sylvan Franklin video, but I guess this is one where he only talks philosophical. So no Vim tricks there. So let's skip these. And great to hear that you tune into my videos, by the way. I'm thinking about also making like a regular stream on Wednesday, but I don't know with which content actually. So I thought we'd give this a try. Okay. Useful small plugins. How about that? Let's see if there's something new we can learn here. I'm for learning the basics and fundamentals first, but plugins are also cool, and I also use them. Maybe
with how it works, it's essentially a highly customizable text editor. Hello everyone, today we're going to be taking a look at some small NeoVim plugins that I use in my configuration. The purpose of this video is to show you some smaller things that maybe you didn't consider putting in your configuration that I've put in mine that I find to be pretty useful. If you don't know what NeoVim is, or you're not too familiar with how it works, it's essentially a highly customizable text editor where you can build up a configuration to make it more powerful in areas that you need. And one of the best ways to do that is to install third-party plugins made by...
Very cool splash screen here. Looks like it's a picture of himself, right?
The community. And so today I'm going to be going over some of those smaller ones that maybe you'd overlook. Now, these smaller ones aren't necessarily...
Could also be a girl, but in this, I think could also be him right now. Very cool.
Like smaller as far as lines of code go. It's more smaller as in like you wouldn't immediately think to add this to your configuration. These are going to...
Oh yeah, cool. Maybe you can share your dot files or something. I can have a look at it later.
Be things that are less obvious than those plugins. Now, the first plugin that I have here is Flash.env. Now, this one did get pretty popular and it's been mentioned in quite a few videos, but I really want to, hit home the idea that this is a very, very useful plugin to have. And if you don't know what it is, it's essentially a plugin that basically gives you teleportation abilities. So let's say that I want to get to this text that says remote right here, but my cursor is all the way over here on the left. How would I get there in vanilla NeoVim? Well, what I would do is I would probably just, if I'm not trying to think too hard, I'm just going to hit slash and type in remote, and then I'm at remote. If I really want to be super...
That's actually how I prefer to do it also, if I'm like with the search navigation. And I think that's something that works everywhere. That's very great. I'm not sure if I really want to rely on plugins like Flash. They can make you faster, but if you're ever on a server or somewhere where you don't have your config, don't have this plugin, then yeah, you still know how to search, but maybe your muscle memory has to switch over first.
Super efficient with how I'm moving around. I would do 2J to go onto the line, and then I would do FR. And then I would press semicolon, 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 and then I would be at remote. This is not too bad, but it can get a lot better thanks to this plugin. So if I want to get to that spot using Flash.nvim, I'd press ZK, and then I'd press R, and what you'll see is that it will list out every R on your screen currently with a marker next to it, which is just a character that you can press, and the one that is next to the R that we want to go to is T, so I'm going to press T.
I actually really like the functionality, but I wish it would be like default, some default Vim function. I think I haven't tried it, but I think Helix has this as a default, something like that, right?
And now I'm at that location. And what this does is it not only reduces the amount of keystrokes that you have to type, which honestly isn't the big deal here, but it also just removes the cognitive load of having to get to a very specific location. So while I still do use stuff like $ and underscore to jump around, and I use capital W and B a lot to go throughout lines, whenever I have like a not super obvious place that I want to be at, instead of just like holding down K and J and then holding down W and B, I'll just press ZK and then type in that spot, and then I'm there. So the real benefit here.
Yeah, it's like without plugins, but it's batteries included, right? Oh, I think said there's your NVIM stuff, but I can't actually see a link or something. Could be that in my settings somewhere I prohibited people from spamming links. I don't know. Sorry if it's that. I'd have to check it out. I don't know. I don't think I can change it in the middle of a stream, at least. So maybe you can. Oh, don't bother. Maybe just hit up your GitHub name or something where it is, and I can watch for it later.
In my opinion, is not the speed, it's really the reduced cognitive load. Another awesome benefit of this plugin is that it supercharges your F and T commands. If you didn't know, the F and T commands are used to find characters along your line that you're currently on. And so if we just open up NeoVim with no configuration here, so this is just completely plain NeoVim, and if I press F and then press R, it will just go to the first instance of R. And then if I press semicolon, it'll go to the next one, and it will do that until the end of the line. But
that's cool functionality, and I actually have a video about that, I think.
Stops at the end of the line. In comparison, if I did the same thing here where I do F and then press R, not only do I have a little bit better UI, but I can also do this across all of the lines below my current selection. This is really useful because there are a lot of times where I do want to go to a character that's on a different line, and I don't want to have to go down to that line before I do my F or T command. The next one that I want to take a look at is fidget.nvim. Now, this is one that I found pretty late into my configuration journey, and it's honestly a really underappreciated plugin. Basically what it does is it gives you a bunch of status updates of, your LSP setting up or your
I also use this
formatter setting up and stuff like that in the bottom right corner of your screen. And this is really, really useful, especially for LSPs and formatters that take quite a long time to initialize, like Rust Analyzer, for example. So it can just help you kind of give you an idea of, what's taking so long, why is my autocomplete not working, things like that. So let's go ahead and open up a Rust project to see what it looks like. So it's initializing Rust Analyzer, it's doing all of its different things, whatever Rust Analyzer needs to do, taking 100 years as it normally does. No hate, Rust Analyzer does a lot of work, but as you can see, now it loaded properly. So now we should be able to hover to get documentation and go to definition and see all of my terrible code. One of the ones that I've been getting a lot of comments about is this one called Vim T Pipeline. Basically, this one integrates my NeoVim status line into the Tmux status line. So something that you might not have noticed is that I don't have a bottom status bar at all. And this is thanks to this plugin right here, which has essentially moved my status line up to the top here. Now,
oh, that's actually a neat idea. I didn't know that. This plugin. Yeah. Maybe I'll look into this. Seems neat. I have Tmux open anyway all the time.
Commands and stuff still show up on the bottom, but the actual line itself is completely integrated up to the top and is fully responsive and stuff. And as you can see, the numbers in the middle here are actual Tmux windows, which are interactable. So that's really nice as well. Now, the reason I do this is honestly a little bit unreasonable, but if I exit out of my Tmux session and let's just go to my NeoVim configuration and open up a file, as you can see, my status line hovers like a little bit above the bottom of the terminal. And the reason is because that this gap below it is just a little bit too short to be able to display another character. Because of that and the way that terminals render, they don't want to render any partial characters at the bottom, so they just stop rendering at the last cell that is completely visible to the user.
Yeah, that's actually a little problematic sometimes. I guess you can switch, like the problem he describes with the text not exactly fitting the whole height. You can choose a few different, or try out different terminal emulators, because font rendering is a little bit different between them, and maybe sometimes you can get it just right. I don't know. I think Ghosty also has some configuration for adjusting this. And maybe you could also probably like try to change the line height or something like that. Yeah, I have it at the top also. I also think like, yeah, I like it at the top. I don't know why. Always liked it at the top. Tmux Navigator. Okay, I didn't try that. I actually really have different shortcuts. I have the standard Tmux prefix. I use one of those. I don't know. Oh, okay. I see myself lagged, so I don't. Okay, I hit the window. I use one of those little keyboards with another layout. I use Miyoku with Colmac DHM, I think it is. It's not really, it's almost a corn. It's a Chocofy. It has a little bit more pinky stagger, but basically it's a corn, yeah. And with a different layout, and I find Control B is fine, and I use the default shortcuts for window navigation in Tmux, and also the default ones in Vim. Yep. Okay, let's see what else he got.
So if I were to zoom out and zoom in, you can see that I can get really, really close to having this sit flush, but it basically very rarely sits perfectly flush. You have to have very specific sizes. And I'm a person that when I'm programming, I'm zooming in sometimes and I'm zooming out sometimes. It really depends on the day and what I'm working on and, you know, what mood I'm in.
Yeah, okay, I can see that this also is a good use case for a bar on top. Yeah, on the standard keyboard, I also had, so on my standard laptop keyboard, I also always had caps lock mapped to control, and you can have it that you have some kind of mod tab behavior, like in these little things, in these little keyboards with ZMK or QMK. If you use Kanata or however you pronounce it. You can have it then that if you press it long, if you hold it, you can have it as a control, and if you just tap it, you can have it as escape. So that's how caps lock can become a really useful key on a normal keyboard, on a standard keyboard.
Stuff like that. And having that gap.
And I think also like, what's the keyboard? Vim was originally developed on. Okay, I've been blocked. Cool. What? ADM, yes. There you can see that. Oh, damn it. Can I open image? Yes, then I can maybe make it a little bit bigger. Yeah. You see on the original keyboard, that's why HJKL also is like the way it is. And Control and Escape were right here, like where caps lock was. Yeah, I know this one. Do you have the 60 HE or one of the bigger ones? I had the original 60 HE also, but actually I sold it because I never have time to game anymore. So it was wasted for me, but I also like the integrated software. Yeah, but okay, let's go back here.
App honestly really bothers me like a lot. So having this tmux integration here makes it so that no matter what file I'm in, you can't see this gap. Yes, the gap is technically still there, but it looks flush from my perspective here because you can't see that there is an actual cutoff between NeoVim and my.
I also like his color scheme. It's so monochromatic. I don't know how you say it, but it's looks cool. Looks cool without so many colors, but there's some color coding here, some syntax highlighting.
My terminal because the backgrounds are the same, but yeah, that is the main reason that I use it. Another minor benefit is that on small displays, like whenever I'm using my laptop out in public or something, I gain an extra character of height because I have both of the status bars in the same spot. So it's also really good if you have very limited real estate in your setup. Okay, another one that I really like is NVIM Colorizer. So this essentially just detects all of the different colors like hex colors and RGB colors and stuff inside of any file that I'm working on and actually colors them. It actually highlights the background with the proper color. Let's just open up some sort of CSS file here. And as you can see, all of the colors in here.
Neat plugin. Yeah, that's very useful. Reminds me of some IntelliJ function or WebStorm function where you have like the color on the left side or something.
Have the actual value, which is really, really nice whenever I'm doing front-end development where I'm working with plain CSS files, unfortunately. This is nice for that sort of purpose. So if you use tmux with NeoVim, but you haven't messed around with your setup too much, you might find that the transition between tmux and NeoVim itself.
Oh, there's your plugin. tmux Navigator, right?
Is a little bit clunky. The reason is because window commands in NeoVim and window commands in tmux are different, but visually there's no difference. Like for example, if I split a pane in tmux, you'll see that I now have a split pane like this, but there's not a ton of visual cues to tell you this is NeoVim and this is not NeoVim. And so instead of trying to address this issue by maybe making your terminal look different than NeoVim, I prefer the other approach, which is to essentially make them more integrated. And so the way that I've done this is using Vim tmux Navigator, which essentially allows you to use the same commands to jump between NeoVim windows and tmux windows and NeoVim windows and tmux windows. So what this means is I can just use Control HJKNL and move between tmux and NeoVim pane.
I can see how this is really useful. Maybe I'll try it in the future.
Like this, and I can also just make another tmux pane, and now I'm moving between tmux panes, and I can make another NeoVim pane, and I can move between these. So it's completely seamless. It's a really, really nice system to work with. So I really, really like this plugin. So this plugin is a little bit different than other ones in that you have to do a little bit of setup outside of NeoVim. Basically, you just need to add this line to your...
Yeah, also basically always use another window or another Tmux window or another Tmux split if I want to have a terminal below or set aside my NeoVim instance. Yeah, that's true.
Tmux configuration file, and then just install Vim Tmux Navigator and set some mappings, and then you should have it all perfectly up and running. The next one that I really like is called NVim Tree Sitter Text Objects, and this basically builds on top of Tree Sitter to give you really nice text object movement and manipulation based on the information that Tree Sitter has parsed from your file. So for example, inside of this TXX file, I can jump to the next function by...
Still have to really look into this one. It's on my list of to-dos.
By doing bracket F, and I can just keep on doing this to jump to all the different functions. I can also do stuff like VAF to select everything around a function, or VIF to select everything inside of a function. So like, let's say I wanted to just completely clear out this function, I could just do DIF and just completely empty the function. Now, yes, you can use things like VIP and DIP to select and delete an entire paragraph, but as soon as you have a space inside your function, you can no longer use this effectively. Like for example, if I add a space right here and I do VIP, absolutely nothing happens. If I move up and I do VIP, then I select that part and then I select this part here. Not super great, not super consistent behavior. And what I really want is consistent behavior. I don't want to say like, oh, I want to select this function and sometimes it selects it. Sometimes I have to keep going down. I want one single thing that works every single time. And for me, VAF works every single time. So I use this instead. Now just a quick speed round of some things that you probably have in your configuration, but I want to mention them just in case you don't. Tab out is really useful. If you don't know what it is, basically whenever you type a character that also has a closing character, it will allow you to tab out of it. So you don't have to explicitly go into normal mode and then jump around it. You can.
This is actually, I didn't know this one, and it sounds really cool because this can get annoying, right?
Just stay in insert mode and press tab. So for example, I could type parentheses here and press tab, and I'm now outside of them and I can type outside of these parentheses. Another one is comment.nvim. This allows me to comment and uncomment anything. So if I press GCC, it will comment.
This is actually not needed anymore because it's now built into NeoVim at least. And he's using NeoVim, so can get rid of this, I guess.
It.
Also with the default GCC shortcut, by the way.
And if I press GCC again, it will undo it. I can do that with everything inside of a selection as well with just GC. So this is really useful. This can be done completely like on your own with a few lines of Lua code. I just don't have a reason to switch it over to that. I just continue using the plugin because it works.
Yeah. I also had this most of the time in Vim, but I mostly use NeoVim now. And I don't know since when. It's since 0.11.2 or 3 or something like that. I don't know when it came, when it got merged. But the functionality is built in now. So if you still use this, I think you don't need it anymore, at least not for NeoVim.
Works, and there's no other reason to rewrite it for my own configuration if I already have it working with my current approach. So yeah, I still use comment.nvim. Here are some other really nice ones that I have, and I kind of have them all in the same file because they're so relevant to each other. One of them is TreeSJ. Now TreeSJ.
Yeah, it actually just works like you would, like he just told you to use this plugin. So you can just hit GCC and you command out the current line, or you can hit GC if you have a selection, or you can like GC and do a motion after that. So yeah, try it out. It's really cool.
essentially allows you to like collapse entire lists into one line or put them all on a new line. So for example, inside of this here, I can press space M and it will put them all on multiple lines, and press space M again. So this is really, really nice.
This also looks great. Wow, yeah, this really looks great.
Whenever you want to maybe just like quickly write out a list and then you want to just format it into a vertical list. So I use it a lot for those type of things, or also whenever my formatter is disagreeing with me, I will quickly flip it into a list or a flat thing and then maybe put like a, you know, formatter ignore comment above it. There's a ton of uses for this. I do honestly use this quite a bit. I think auto pairs is pretty self-explanatory, but it basically just closes your parentheses for you and your brackets for you and things like that. I honestly am on the fence about auto pairs. Sometimes I really like them and sometimes I really don't like them. So every once in a while I will comment this out in my configuration, and then every once in a while I will put it back in, specifically whenever I'm using Lisp, which honestly is not very often, but every time I do use Lisp, I turn off auto pairs because working with Lisp with auto pairs is just absolute hell for me. But
I don't write Lisp code, but I'm also not really sold on this most of the time. So I don't use it in NeoVim, but in some, for work, I use IntelliJ, and there's this auto pair functionality in there by default. Probably you can turn it off, but sometimes I like it, but also sometimes I really don't like it.
otherwise, it is a really good plugin. And then we have mini.surround, which is what I use for surrounding things. So for example, if I wanted to surround this mini with braces, I would do VE and then I'd press SAB to surround it with braces. And
yeah, mini surround is great.
Now it's in braces, but there's also some really nice features with this. Like I can also highlight mini and I can do SAT, and now I can write in some sort of like HTML tag here. So I can put like a canvas and it will wrap it in a canvas tag. So that being said, that about ends today's video. That was a pretty decent amount of small plugins that we went over. Hopefully you found at least one.
Yeah. Mostly for tags, actually, I like it. Like he showed in the end.
Of them useful, and you add it to your setup. If you enjoy this type of video, make sure to like and subscribe, and also let me know in the comments that you enjoy it so I can continue making videos like this. And if you really enjoy this video, consider supporting me on Patreon so I can continue making videos like this. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good day. See ya.
Of course, I like this. Great video. I also like the content he's usually putting out. Okay, so this was the first two videos that I watched with this account.
Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode in these
autoplay is on. Okay. Yeah. Let's go back to my homepage here and see what YouTube now suggests for us. Okay, now we've got some suggestions here. Also based on my subscriptions, it seems like. Still. Any preference? Oh, okay. Also, it uses my location probably because I'm getting some German news stuff. I don't want to see this. Thank you. Today, bye-bye. Not a big news watcher. Oh, Dreams of Code is also great. Most of the time he's got some really cool editing. Oh, really? 8 people? Oh, great. Hi, hi to all the late joiners. So I said in the beginning already, I was thinking about doing something a little bit different here. On Wednesdays, just stream, have a nice stream that's not fully focused on content, like learning content. Just maybe watching some YouTube myself, because I actually don't have that much time to watch the other people that create right now, and maybe we can combine this here and watch something together. Wim Joyers, Wim Joyer, I also have him subscribed, or I am subscribed to him on this second channel here. That's just for stream watching here now that I dedicated for this. But also I have him on my main account. Yeah. So I'm using Aerospace actually with Sketchy Bar. Maybe I can do a shameless plug and search for my own video or something. Ooh, here, tiling window manager. But it's 10 months old, and I was really sick when I recorded it. I am looking very white. I have yeah. And it's also a little bit laggy with the recording software I used back then. But yeah, I also have my the config is not quite the same anymore, but it's mostly the same. And I have it also on my dot files. I think they are not all up to date, but I have got my Aerospace config here. So if you want to have a look at it, yeah, it's just one single file here. Yeah, I actually have one use case for the Raycast window manager. If I release this from the tiling mode here, I just press the shortcut and like so I can do it into the tiling and not into the tiling in Aerospace. But sometimes I just want to have it like in the center. So I use this to center this, or I also make it a little bit smaller, like my window. So, and that's actually one of the things I use Raycast Window Manager for, because I don't know how to do this in Aerospace, and I think this functionality is not actually in Aerospace at the moment. So, but you can use different tools, combine things, right? Okay. Yeah, Aerospace is a little bit different. I don't know. There are also many other little bit less nerdy window management tools on macOS. What did I use before? I think I also used Rectangle before. This was quite good before I found Aerospace. But I like to be able to switch to different workspaces and to the automatic tiling. I don't have many things to show here right now, but yeah. If you like tiling window management, then give Aerospace a try. Or you could also use Yabai, but you have to make it work, you have to disable SIP, I think it's called, like the system integrity protection or something. So that's why I used Aerospace. Yeah. And this way you are really fast. Like it's basically very similar to i3 in on Linux or Sway or something like that. Yeah, I don't want to have these. Please go away with the news content. Okay. Hammerspoon is also a tool I still want to have a look at sometime in the future. GitHub inside NeoVim. Oh, this is also, I also am subscribed to this one. I'm not sure how to pronounce his name correctly, but for me it's SM Natale actually, but I don't know. You want to have a look at this? He's a little bit smaller still. Also, like I think he's at 1.5K subscribers right now. So almost my size. Okay, I messed this up. GitHub inside NewVim. So let's start from the beginning again.
Install GH, and then you just need to do GH auth login. And
if I can manage to use my mouse,
as it's called in Snacks. So basically, it allows you to do a lot of your GitHub workflow still inside of NeoVim. And I'll just show you how to quickly set it up. So first things first, you're going to need the GitHub CLI installed. Now, if you're on Mac, it's as simple as just doing brew install GH, and then you just need to do
new plugin from Folk the last few days on NewVim, on the NewVim Reddit. He posted it.
GH auth login, and you can log in to your GitHub. So if we just go through the recommended setup here, and I'll show you all the features. So the default setup is basically just the Snacks plugin with enabling the GitHub plugin, enabling the Picker plugin, and then some key maps to open issues, pull requests, etc. And this just gives you the bare bones sort of to get you started. Okay, and I've just got a little demo React project here, which has some issues and some pull requests. And I'm just going to talk you through and show you some of the features. So if we open up NeoVim now and we do our leader GI to see the issues, as you can see, it's got the list of issues here, and then it also has the text on underneath. If you zoomed out, because I'm zoomed in for the video, it'll look something like this instead. But obviously for the video purposes, it's zoomed in. So let's just open an issue. Let's go to issue 2. Let's open it in the buffer. And as you notice, it's going to be folded like this in NeoVim. So you can do ZN, which will unfold everything. And then you can see all the information. So we've got what the issue is, steps to reproduce, etc. And then you can see comments here. And then if I click enter, I can then add reactions, close the issue, comment on the issue, etc. So if I want to put a comment.
I can see how this could be handy, but I don't have any really public repos on GitHub right now where I actually have something like that. And for work, currently at a project where they use GitLab, so this won't work.
But
it looks like a cool plugin.
And then if I do Control S, that's now submitted, and then yeah, comments are working. So it's immediately commented on the GitHub issue. But you know, issues probably isn't the reason you come to this video. You're thinking code reviews, right? Here you go. So if we do leader G,
I haven't tried Snacks actually. I used Telescope for a while, and now I'm at FCF Lua. Yeah, the GH tool is also quite nice if you don't know it. So you can use it in your terminal as well to manage repositories and stuff like that.
We can view the pull requests. Let's take a look at pull request 6, for example. So we'll open the PR, do ZN again to unfold everything. We can see the PR description, we can see the comments, we can add comments. And yeah, it's all great, all cool. So if we go back to the pull requests, like something simple like this. So if we go leader GP, back to the pull requests, we'll view the diff for the PR. We can view all the files difference. If I zoom out again so you can see a bit better. This is great. And yeah, if we open a PR that's got a bit more differences, we can see, as you can see, loads of different differences. We can open a file. And then you can do something like, if you use git signed, you can do something like this. So git signed.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. Yeah, FCF Lua was also quite nice. Maybe I'll also try Snacks. There's like this, I'm always torn between trying out all the plugins and just using my config as it is and be a little bit productive with that. Maybe I have like a little bit of an excuse to try out new stuff sometimes if I want to make a video about it, but I have very limited time in the last few weeks again. So maybe in the future.
It's diff, and then boom, you can have a look at the differences from the main branch to and the changes, just like that. So you can see for a code review, and then if we go back to here, we could say, let's say we don't like the way this function is done, we want it to be done a bit differently. Then we can go back to the pull requests, go to here, add a comment, and we can say use an arrow function instead of, for example. And then we submit that, and boom. Now, if I'm honest, there is one thing this plugin is missing.
Yeah. Yeah, I know. But it's sometimes also hard because like tinkering with your setup, it's like a hobby, right? Sometimes I like to tinker with my setup more than doing actual work with it, to be honest.
And that is being able to like select some text and maybe suggesting different codes. For example, if I wanted to suggest directly from this, then I could obviously do something like add a comment, say this change to, and then if we add, for example, just make it an arrow function like that. Now that is all fine and dandy. However, it's not going to come up in GitHub as a code suggestion. So if I quickly open up GitHub here, pull request 8. So as you can see, it's done it like
no tiling window manager there. Mr. Natale, I'm a little bit disappointed. No, not really.
Like that. However, ideally, in the future, and I know this is a planned feature because Folky did say on Reddit, I saw one of his posts, obviously, ideally, you would want that to do something like this. So for example, if we wanted to do like a direct code suggestion, then we could do it like this. And that just makes it so when somebody's doing a code review, they can just, oh yeah, I like that suggestion, I'll apply that, for example. However, from this plugin, you can't currently do that. I do know that it's planned in the future, and this would literally be the last change that I would request in this plugin. Everything else is pretty cool about it. So yeah, just a little quick video showing you this new thing that I'm going to be using. If you want the thing that I showed before, then all I need to do is have another plugin installed, which is Git Signs. And then it's basically just running this command git.
Git Signs is great. I also use it.
Git Signs diff this main. So for example, we could do, if we close this, if we do Git Signs diff this, and then we can, as you can see, it's populating all the branches there. So we can compare this to any branch. So if I want to compare this to this branch, for example, there you go. That's the change from that branch. But obviously, when you're doing a pull request, usually you merge it into main or like development or something like that. So yeah, it's nice to have a little key map to do that. But yeah, let me know what you think, guys, of this plugin. This is probably going to send me down the rabbit hole of
I actually have it in a Tmax pop-up, like my lazy Git.
Exploring more of the Snacks plugins. I have used some in the past. I have been watching it. It might drag me finally away from Telescope. I do love Telescope though. But yeah, let's see.
Cool video. Now, if I comment with this account, won't make a big, yeah, but it's okay. Cool video. Why not? Whoops. Okay, the tab order in the comment thing here is not really great. Cool. Okay. Okay, we got more breaking news. Don't want to do it. Don't want to have these. Oh. This actually sounds interesting, and I don't know the difference. I know all of these syntax things. So some bash stuff. Yeah, let's go with it. Here, let's try this.
Yo, what's up, everyone? My name's Dave, and you suck at programming. Today, we're going to talk about process substitution versus command substitution.
Yeah, I also use the $ thing most of the time, but I'm using ZSH actually. But for scripting, I mostly use bash or ZH. Not ZH, SH.
Specifically for the bash shell. I'm sure some of these concepts apply for other shells, but we're going to talk about bash specifically today. So let's jump into it. Let's talk about what am I actually talking about. So in this simple example here, we have name.
That's a real cool video setup, I think. He's got there, like with this the style of presenting.
Equals backtick, who am I, backtick. This is a little contrived. There are other ways to get your current username, but here's what we're doing. Name equals backtick, who am I, backtick. So we echo $name. It should be the output of that command. The command is who am I. We run it and it just says Dave. That's awesome. If I run who am I, the command right here, we get Dave. So that's all it did. This syntax is super simple. It says run this command and replace it with whatever the standard output of that command was. So name, the variable, got set to whatever the standard output of who am I was. Very simple. You've probably seen that before. And if you've seen that, you've probably seen this syntax. Instead of using the backticks, you can use the $ open paren and close paren. This is a newer syntax. When I say newer, I still mean it's decades old at this point, but it's newer. It is, I believe it is POSIX compatible now. But yeah, so use this syntax, prefer this syntax. It should work exactly the same, but the beauty of this syntax is when you start nesting things, there are way better rules for having nested this syntax where it's like this than having like nested backticks. You have to escape things, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, I also find it's more, I don't know, it sticks out more. The backticks are not that visible sometimes, I think, and not, you can easily mistake them for single quotes sometimes. Oh yeah, new shell also looks nice, but yeah, not POSIX. That's also why I haven't tried Fish yet. But also, like, I set up my ZSH for like I don't know when, ages ago, and I don't tinker that much with the setup there.
I'm meandering. You run the script, we should get exactly the same thing. Hey, that's awesome. So what's the next?
And also I'm using Starship nowadays, so this is also shell independent. So
thing. We have command args here. So in this example, I'm doing printf %s with a new line, and I have a less than and greater than. There's nothing special about those less than and greater than. That is just for us to see. And we're going to give it the uptime command. So if you've never seen the uptime command, it's pretty useful. It tells you how long your system's been up. It's a way to get load averages and stuff like that. You can see there's a bunch of data there separated by spaces. So what happens when we run that? We get everything, okay? So command substitution gave us that string back, but I'll show you what the script looks like so you can reference it at the same time. So it ran the command, got the output, and then the output was passed into this format specifier, which gets repeated for each argument. So each argument was being passed to printf like this. And you might think, okay, well, how do I avoid this situation? Of course, it's very simple. Just quote it. Quote your expansion. No different than you would quote a variable expansion. You put quotes around this thing, and now when you run it, we get one big argument with all of the data that was the output of that one command. Hey.
Yeah, Starship Explain is great. I also already used it.
Simple. That makes perfect sense. That's called command substitution. We use that syntax, command substitution, to run the command and replace it with the standard out of that command. So the whole command has to run. We get all of the standard out. So what goes on here? Notice instead of the $sign, we have that less than sign. This is called process substitution. So we're using uname instead. So the uname command is just going to print Darwin, super simple. We're going to run this and it's going to echo it. Remember that? What is going on there? I'll show you the code so you can cross-reference it. We're echoing uname, but we got this. What is that? That's not.
That seems strange, actually. And I never used this before.
The output of uname. And that's the thing. It's not the output of name. Take a look at this. Instead of echo, let's do cat. Cat's going to get that weird thing, that dev FD or whatever it was. And now we get Darwin. So what's going on there? This is not getting replaced by the standard.
So it gives it back a file handle or something like that?
Standard out of uname. It's getting replaced by the name of a file that cat will get, that if cat reads that file, it will get the streaming output of the uname command. I mean, technically it might be a pipe. I don't actually know what type of file it is. You know what, now that I say that out loud, let's actually find out what kind of file it is. Because if I echo uname, it gives us the name of the file. I can actually just gstat it. And where do we have it? It is a FIFO. Look at this, FIFO. So it is a pipe. It's not a regular file.
Cool. So I learned something new right now.
Okay, let's get back on track here. So we ran that example. We get the output of it. It gets replaced by a file name, which happens to be a FIFO, which is a named pipe that exists on your system. Cat can read that file, and that file will get replaced by the standard out of the command that's being run in that syntax. Why is that useful? Because what if we have large data? So here's an example of large data. We're going to grep for the name Dave out of user share dict words. That is a word dictionary that exists on my system. You may or may not have it on your system. It has 235,000 lines of words in there. So it's a large file. We're going to grep for the word Dave in it, and we're going to loop over it line by line using this here string notation. So all of that stuff, all of the output of grep is stored in a variable that has new lines in it, and we're going to loop over that variable and find where it says Dave. So let's go ahead and run this. Okay. It ran pretty fast, but there was like a little bit of a pause there. It had to cache the whole thing in memory. It had to store the whole thing in memory before we looped over it line by line.
Yeah, I see. And with the other thing, you just pipe it through.
Let's talk about, by contrast, why process substitution is useful. Look at this example. We have this, a little bit contrived of an example, but take a look at this. We're going to tell it to read in from a file. What's the name of the file we're reading from? This, because remember, that will be a FIFO, and that will have the output of this command in a streaming fashion. So the benefit of that is it will flood in as it becomes available. There wasn't much here. Even though it's a relatively big file, it's still pretty fast for computers to chug through this. But this is super useful. That's the difference between command and process substitution. So if I show the two examples again, let's do 06 and 07. This is great. This command substitution is great when you can fit the whole thing in a variable comfortably. The whole thing's going to be read into memory and you're not worried about it. This is also useful because I can get the exit code of grep. When this next line moves on, I know that grep has finished. By contrast, if I go over here, I can stream a lot of data. Maybe I have a tail dash.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's one useful thing. One useful use case. Okay. Finding words is sometimes hard for me still.
F that's running, or I'm curling some sort of interface where I don't know how much data is there. That's the beauty of this. I can start processing input before the command's done. Because I'm processing input before the command's done, we don't have an exit code. I can't tell you if grep was successful or not until it's done, and we're processing lines before it may be done. So that's why you got to pick one over the other. You got to pick which one makes sense. If you can fit the whole thing comfortably into memory, command substitution is probably for you. If you want to have something in a streaming fashion, you don't care about the exit code, or you have ways of dealing with it yourself, process substitution is the way to go. That's the difference between the two. Yo, and of course, I want to give a shout out to my members over at Patreon. Thank you so much for supporting.
Again, I really like his setup. Like he set up his screen here. It's really cool, and I think he's at because he ran uname and there was Darwin, and this looks like he's running GNOME, but he's on macOS, right? So he fakes it a little bit, but it really looks cool.
Supporting the channel. If you want your name,
Yeah, it's probably just like a scene there, but I like it.
the end of my videos like this, go ahead and check out my Patreon. You can sign up there. I don't paywall any content, but it's a cool way of showing that you support me, and you get your name at the end of my video, so that's pretty cool. Check it out. We have 11 members of one tier, 14 of the other, 19 of the other. If you add them up, it doesn't actually equal 46, but it still says there's 46 active members. Not really sure what's going on with that, but this code is open source, so hopefully someone can figure it out for me why it's 44 and somehow it says 46.
Okay. Let's do bug fixing. I thought it was a great video. I like his style.
I don't know. I can dig into that later. That's super funny. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, also, yes. Many subscribers already. Cool stuff. So I have time for one more probably. Yeah, what could possibly go wrong? I still use, if I use it at all, use it more like I ask questions about stuff. Still don't trust the AI overlords to write code for me most of the time. Tony has a new video. Stop using distros. Okay, this is a little bit long for tonight. I want to go like in 15 minutes. I'm gonna go, I guess, so I can get some sleep. You already watched it? Okay, cool. Probably cool. I also always wanted to install Linux from scratch, but I think it's not a great system for everyday use because you have to maintain so much. Yes, LFS. Back in the days, I actually installed Gentoo like, oh my god, 20 years ago or something. Yes, I'm old. So okay, we need like a 10-minute video or something like that. Oh, Adib, it's a little bit too long. I also like him very much. Okay, cool. Let's watch this one. Oh, he uses Gentoo too, Tony. Okay, I haven't watched that much stuff. Him. So let's go with this one as a
27-inch
for today.
So for the last couple of years, I've gone from using an ultra-wide monitor with a secondary monitor alongside it to regular dual monitor setups. And after trying a bunch of these different options, I finally ended up at the simplest, which is just using a single monitor.
He's also building keyboards now and selling them. I don't know if he still does that. Does that. But I found that to be very interesting. I don't know how you have to put so much effort into building these and then selling these. I don't know. Or maybe he just sells kits and you have to solder them yourself or something. Yeah, I really like his videos also. He was gone for a long time, right? And now he picked up again doing it. Just 10 minutes left. Go. Focus.
screen. Sometimes I found that when I try to go through all the different more complicated approaches, oftentimes I end up back at the simplest. As a macOS user for the last 2 years, I've only been using a single 27-inch Apple Studio display. I found this to be the most comfortable to work on my projects and write code. Before I continue, I do want to note that this is what has worked for me personally. It might change for me in the future, and it might not apply to you and your specific circumstances.
Yeah, I think he has a valid point there, and I also mostly use one monitor nowadays. But in a situation like this right now, I need to have like I just have my laptop screen here on the left, but yeah, sometimes you need for some use cases you just a secondary display is just easier. So for work, I put like the chat and the Teams calls or something like that on my secondary monitor, so I can have my sorry for hitting the microphone. So I can have my full attention on my code or other stuff I have on my main display. But otherwise, one display. I'm a one display guy too right now. And before I always wanted to have like 6 or something. Yeah. You also have a Mac Studio display? Okay. That's cool. I have some cheapish LG 4K with a little bit like 144 hertz or something like that. I like the higher frame rate. And also Studio display. I don't have the budget right now for that. But it's a nice display. But I also think in the next iteration they should level up the refresh rate there. Otherwise, it's great. Like 5K on 27 inches, it's probably very crisp. Yeah. Let's hope for it. And maybe then sometime in the future I would consider getting one. But also there are I think there are plans from other companies, I don't know, Asus or something like that, to release a 5K 120 hertz or something like that 27-inch OLED panel. Also interested in this.
This is just my personal experience. So at first I thought that having the most screen real estate as possible was the best way to go. This way I thought that I could see everything that I needed at the same time. That's why I tried the ultra-wide screen and the dual monitor setups. And though it did allow me to have more things open at the same time, I generally found it really uncomfortable and it never felt very ergonomic. Most of the time I would have a primary screen in front of me and a secondary screen to my right. I would mostly write code on the primary screen and have any secondary information.
I don't know if I could live like that with like a switch here. It's too tempting to pull it out and play something, right?
That I needed, like documentation or the actual web app I was building on my right. Over time, I started to experience some neck pain from having to move my neck around between the primary screen and the secondary one. The only way I could fix this was to have only one screen in front of me, and so I had to find a suitable replacement for the screen that I had on the side, a virtual way of doing this so I could quickly switch between apps and workspaces with something like my keyboard. Tiling window managers and keyboard shortcuts were the perfect solution. Before I continue, I also want to let you guys know that I'm currently working on a course platform that I'm building from scratch. I'm gonna be calling it Terminal Hackers. The plan is to build a place for people who like to hack, code, and build on the terminal like me. I wanted a place where I can...
Damn it. That's actually something I want to do. I don't know if I want to build it out myself, but what's one of the things I plan to do. Why are you doing this?
can dive deeper into the topics that I cover on this channel, make it easy for you to track your progress, and so that it's a lot easier for me to keep everything up to date as well. The first course I'm going to be putting together is a complete beginner's guide on how to set up NeoVim from scratch, so you can learn.
Why? Okay, so I'm also working on a Vim and NeoVim course right now.
How to build your own custom, personalized, and fully featured IDE. If you want to stay up to date with me, my progress building this platform and putting the course together, and know exactly when the NeoVim course gets released, you can sign up for the waitlist and newsletter linked in the description. Using tiling window
Check. Okay. Native plugins for NeoVim, you mean? Yeah, Vimpack. I'm on Nightly and I use Vimpack already. It does everything I need to because lazy loading is not that important for me.
managers and keyboard shortcuts made it really easy for me to switch between different workspaces with different apps and layouts. Now, instead of having to move my neck around to look at a different application in a secondary monitor, for example, I would just press on a combination of keystrokes.
Yeah, and it's actually really faster to do it this way. So if you don't want to have your conference call on the side, I can see this is a great use case for a secondary monitor, as we said. But otherwise, like one monitor is the way to go for me right now also.
It would produce the same result and be almost as fast. On macOS specifically though, over time, I did find tiling window managers to be a bit clunky and awkward. I've heard they're a lot better in Linux. As a macOS user, I ended up with a very simple solution that I've talked about before. It specifically boils down to using something like Raycast to set up keyboard shortcuts for switching between.
Yeah, and have them like full screen. That's also a way how you can do that.
Different applications. For example, let's say that I'm coding in NeoVim and Tmux on the terminal. And then let's say I have the web app I'm building on a browser window and I'm listening to music on Spotify. Then in my current setup, I can do Hyper T to open my terminal window, Hyper B to switch to the browser,
Exactly the same shortcuts I use.
Hyper Tab to switch between different browser windows, and Hyper M to switch to my Spotify music player. You can set up a hyper key really easily with a Raycast. If you don't know what a hyper key is, it essentially is a key that you assign to all four modifiers: Control, Shift, Option, and
Right now I use home row mods, and I actually tend to press all of these together because it's really easy this way. I just have to press down all my fingers where they already are. I also tried a separate hyper key, but mostly I actually don't use it. I just use it manually on this keyboard.
Command, so that when you use this key to set up keyboard shortcuts, it won't create any conflicts with any other shortcuts you may have. If you have Raycast installed, you can open it up and then do Command plus comma. Then under Advanced, you can reassign one of your keyboard keys to be hyper. Then under Extensions, under Apps, you can look for a specific app.
Yeah, actually, I need to use home row mods. So I rest my fingers on these four keys. And if I just tap it, it's like the letter. But if I press it, this is Shift, this is Control, this is Option or Meta or Alt, whatever you want to call it. And this is the super key or the command key. So I just have to press all of these down. And I use very light switches in this thing. I use the ambient Twilight, I guess, yeah, they are called. I had the nocturnals before, but they were even less. They even had less typing force. So I use these right now. I guess they have actuation force. It's called 35 grams, and the nocturnals have. Do they have this here? They have just 25, I think, or 20 even, yeah. So there I got some accidental key presses actually. That's why I switched back to the Twilights.
Application, let's say Chrome browser for example, and then set up a hotkey for it. More recently, I've also found it to be really useful to install browser applications onto your computer. You can do this with Chrome or Safari. Let's say you use YouTube or GitHub a lot. Oftentimes you can install this web app as an app to your computer, and then you can look for it in your Raycast settings like we did before, assign a hotkey for it, and then you can instantly open or switch to this specific web app.
I haven't tried this actually, but seems pretty great. Yeah, 35 grams, but it's like these low profile chock switches, so it's not exactly the same as MX switches, I guess.
With just a couple of keystrokes. Lately, this has really become my favorite way to work. It has eliminated the neck pain I would get from looking at different monitor screens, and I found it to be much more comfortable. As a nice bonus, this approach also helps keep me concentrated. I am mostly looking at only one application at a time, so I feel less distracted. And if I ever need to, with Raycast, you can also set up window management so that with other keyboard shortcuts, you can move windows around your screen. I typically move a window to the left and another to the right if I ever want to look at two different things at the same time. Now, this is my personal solution to the issue as a macOS user. I honestly wish macOS had better tiling window managers. I haven't tried Yabai or Aerospace in quite some time now. I'm planning on giving Linux and its tiling window managers a try very soon. I recently started setting up Ubuntu on my MacBook through Parallels as a virtual machine, so I can start playing around with this and give it a try. I know I'm probably gonna love it, and eventually down the road I do want to set up a dedicated Linux computer. I'm hoping I can put a video together.
Yeah, I actually have like a little mini PC here that runs Fedora right now. So yeah, I'm not sure if I want to switch to the latest release. Actually, I'm still on what it's called, Sonoma, Sequoia. I don't know. Oh, I just dropped my serial number, right? Damn. Cool. Yeah. I'm like on the previous version still, and I think I will stay here.
On my
I still have this M1 Mac here, so yeah, Tahoe is the 26 is the latest, and I'm on the one before.
Experience with this very soon, so make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit on that bell icon so you can get notified and see any future videos about this. Now finally, this approach has also helped me keep my desk minimal and less cluttered. I can keep my MacBook in clamshell mode so it takes up less space on my desk, and I only have the single monitor in front of me, nothing else. I really like how this makes my desk feel, and I've also found that this workflow has made it easier for me to work on the go if I only have my laptop screen. Before,
yeah, exactly. You don't have to. Oh, my chair is really old and creaky. You don't have to adjust your workflow if you have to switch to one monitor.
it was quite a bit harder for me as I was pretty dependent on the multiple monitor screens that I was using on my desk. So to recap, I only use a single monitor screen now because I found it to be more comfortable and ergonomic. I can use tiling window managers, Raycast, and or keyboard shortcuts to quickly and easily switch between apps and workspaces. Beyond that, having only one screen helps keep me concentrated and less distracted, and I can also keep my desk minimal and with less clutter. Alright you guys, so that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and found it interesting and helpful. If you did, don't forget to leave a like down below. Let me know in the comments.
I always forget to mention this like thing in my videos. I put it in at the end because I forget to do it before most of the time. And the thing is, in the beginning it always felt strange to ask for this liking, but I think you really have to remind people to do that. So the like rate goes really up, or the subscribe rate if you mention it. And if you mention it really at the end, it's not that effectful because most people don't watch videos to the end. Strange things you have to do as a YouTuber. Really? So then I say it here for all my videos in the future. Please like and subscribe if you like them. If you like the stuff I'm doing here. Yeah, I gotta get a little bit better at self-promoting, I guess. And yeah, thanks for the feedback, Chris, and also thanks for the nice chat and all the other people that watched and participated. Thank you. Yeah, maybe we will do this regularly right now at Wednesday. I think Wednesday around this time every week, something like this, because I can just wing this. I don't have to prepare anything for this. And then at least I think live streaming is doesn't get that many views, and it's probably not that useful for most of the people like that want to learn stuff. But yeah, maybe some more personal connections can happen here, and also I'm there more regularly because I can. It's hard to commit time for making videos right now, and it does take much more time than I thought it would when I started this. Yeah, or something like that. Yeah, not always watch-alongs, but if I don't have time to prepare something, then maybe some watch-alongs and maybe something other, some other projects, or yeah, coding or config project is also cool. I also wanted to build like a NeoVim config from scratch video. Maybe we'll do a stream first, and then I can do something like that, and put something we do on the stream, do a video after that. So that's basically preparing a next video or something. Yeah, but it's also really fun. But like life is busy right now, like with work and small kid. It's like he's like 1.5 years right now. You also want to spend time with him, right? And yeah, okay, I don't want to get too deep into it right now, but yeah, thanks for being here, and yeah, I'll be here next week around, I don't know what time zone you are, like one at my time zone it's 23 o'clock right now, so 11 p.m. I will start around 8 till 9 p.m. next week, I guess. Thank you. Thanks for being here. Thanks for supporting me also in the videos, and yeah, I hope to see you again next week. Yeah, leave a like and subscribe and stuff like that. But you also already subscribed. So endings are also hard. I'm just gonna say bye now. Bye-bye. And I don't find OBS right now. Okay, there it is. Stop streaming. Bye-bye.